the information that is out there for recruiting and for collegiate sports and the information that's not out there. I think every kid could tell you what they think is the path to playing lacrosse at Johns Hopkins or whatever, but I don't think that I think if you asked, most kids maybe to name five or six, NCLL or MCLA or NJCAA or even D2 or D3 programs, they probably would be hard pressed to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think it's especially here in Texas, the kids who aren't getting, heavily recruited out of, seventh grade or whatever, and they think that that's all that there is in recruiting. They're just like, oh, I just won't play at college then. And so just looking at that drop off between high school and college for lacrosse players, and just I've just been thinking, what can I do to, help stymie that? And I think just educating young players on, the many, many, many ways that you can play college lacrosse. Um, and hopefully just kind of maybe changing the conversation about some of those things.
that's awesome. That's great, man. Um,
Yeah,
a
man.
little bit of, I we could segue. I mean, that's actually a good time to kind of.
Being from, you're from near Detroit, so I guess if you want to just tell me about that, that whole just experience finding lacrosse, when you found it, how you
Okay.
found it.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. I was a junior in high school, and I got tickets to this lacrosse game. The I think it was Major Indoor Lacrosse League. I think that's what it was called back then.
Mm-hmm.
And Detroit Turbos were playing in Joe Louis Arena, and there were free tickets. I'm a junior in high school. Always looking for something to do. It was in the dead of winter, so it was freezing outside. And I didn't know anything about lacrosse except for the guy who lived a street over from me, went to the private school in the area called Liggett. He had a lacrosse stick, and he was always shooting on the goal. And the kid was I guess he was All-American at Liggett. I can't remember his name, but he ended up playing 4 years somewhere, and he was like one of the best players in the state. But at the time, there was only 20 teams in the state.
Wow.
And this is in 1990. No, this is in 1990. This is in 1991. Yeah, it was my junior year, so it was like before the second half of my junior year. So it was winter '91, and ironically, this game comes out, and the very next day there are these flyers all over school for the join the new lacrosse club. Well, I watched this game that night, and I fell in love with it. And Detroit had just had the first pick in the draft, and they got to pick two players as the first pick because they're twin brothers, and it was the Gate brothers.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
so, my whole world changed right after that experience. My best friend and I, we went and got lacrosse sticks from this hockey supply store in right outside of Grosse Pointe in St. Clair Shores, because I grew up in Grosse Pointe, which is a small city next to Detroit. And we went and got these sticks, and I remember trying to emulate like Sergei Fedorov with hand on my stick and pushing away my buddy's stick. We were doing one-on-ones in my driveway, and we were firing the ball at my garage door. And little did I know that on the outside of the garage door there was no damage that was visible. On the inside of the garage door there was cracks and welts. So my dad was, for lack of a better term, pissed.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that anymore. But I absolutely. I mean, like I said, the game changed my life from that day forward. And so my first year playing was really all about being physical, and not so much, creating opportunities for teammates or creating opportunities for myself. It was really, if I have a chance to hit somebody, I certainly tried to do that. And it was so much fun. And that summer, we or I went to the Notre Dame lacrosse camp, and throughout this whole time, as soon as I got the stick, I never stopped playing with it. So, I was really active in trying to develop my stick skills. And, after that summer and after playing in some summer leagues, I had no idea about recruiting or anything. We did some indoor leagues, and, I started getting pretty good. I was a good athlete. And, that senior year, I ended up being first team All-State, and I played in the state All-Star game, which was myself and a couple other kids from public schools, and then it was primarily private school kids from Brother Rice, Detroit Country Day,
Yeah.
Cranbrook, and just to be on the field with those kids, I was just in awe. And I had 2 goals and an assist that All-Star game. But I remember I was I had 2 goals before the season started, and one was to be All-State, and the other was to play in this All-Star game. And nobody was there or anything.
Right.
But it was just because I literally spent every waking moment that I could on my basement wall or at the goal at the middle school, which is 2 blocks away, the private middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's private middle school. And so, little did I know after that All-Star game, my opportunities were going to dry up because I wasn't a good student. I was a very poor student, in fact, and I had a couple opportunities to go places, but my parents were not keen on spending thousands of dollars for me to go away when I graduated from high school with, a low 2.0 GPA.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stopped playing for 2 years, or 2 years. I went to the community college in Macomb County, and I studied art and design, and I decided to go to Western Michigan. Lacrosse had kind of left my mind, and I went to Western. I decided I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a physical education teacher, and that was the route. And I got to Western, I realized they had a lacrosse club.
Yeah.
And I didn't play that first year I was there. I played the second and third years I was at Western, and was kind of like a coach / player / organizer. It was club.
Yeah. Demanded a little bit more demands a little more from the experienced guys.
Yeah. So it was, we were begging for players at times. Sometimes we traveled and we only had 10 guys. I remember we went to the University of Indiana and had 10 guys, and they had 40, and we ended up losing 11-1. And, that was something that happened a lot. And so I was super encouraged about that kind of thing, but I fell back in love with the game. And I figured out I had 2 more years of eligibility. And so when I graduated, I was looking for a school where I could get my master's and play. And I ended up finding a job online at this website that's not around anymore called laxjobs.com. And it was an ad for a coach, a player, and in England, in Manchester, England. And I applied, I interviewed, and I got it. And so I didn't know anything about England. I didn't know anything about the UK or Europe. I did not. My school was, I did the bare minimum outside of college. When I got to college, I did really well, but I wasn't studying, geography or anything like that. And so, I went to England, just green kid, 22-year-old kid, just ready to learn and grow. And it was the most amazing experience of my life. I spent 2 years in England. I actually ended up starting a business over there called HCCmlax, which is now the largest distributor of equipment in all of Europe.
Wow.
I'm not affiliated with so much. I'm one of the founders, but I reaped the rewards of it for a good 10 years after I was done in England. But this is in 2001, 2002. And so, I was over there. We won like the championship and all this other stuff. My goal, my job, my what they wanted me to do was to develop the club that I was working for, and that club was Poynton. And so my job was to go into the local schools and teach lessons on lacrosse to the kids. And it was kids, I think, as young as third grade, third or fourth grade, all the way up into high school.
Mm-hmm.
Schools throughout the week taught these lessons, and then at night I would run practices, and I would practice myself, and we had games on the weekends. And so, it was, my title was Lacrosse Development Officer. They gave me a car, they gave me a place to stay. It was just amazing. And
wow.
I left after 2 years, went back to Michigan, and I was the head coach at Detroit Jesuit High School and Academy for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up meeting my son. I've been in Maryland since June of 2006.
Wow. Okay.
And it's been a wild ride. So honestly, I owe, honestly, everything I have, I have in my life is because of the game. I firmly believe that, and so I owe everything I got to the game of lacrosse, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about, sharing it and coaching it and teaching it and just introducing it to as many kids as I can. But also, now at this point in my life, it's primarily kids that need another chance, another look, need another option. And that's where HCC really fits the bill. Really opens up a lot of doors for guys that had no idea what else was out there for them.